In today's video, I want to go over an awesome note-taking, memory encoding, and spaced repetition system all grouped into one awesome blueprint. So if you've ever wanted an awesome note-taking system to remember everything that you have learned, then you've landed on the right video. What's going on, my friends? I am Brad, and it is my aim to explore blueprints to help us make money, build muscle, and master any area of our lives. So if that sounds good to you, be sure to smash that like button and let's get rolling. So let's take a quick glance at this awesome note-taking system. Then we'll deconstruct each section, and finally we'll put it together in a case study so we can really learn how to use it. I like to call this note-taking system the 4 C's of note-taking. It's inspired from many different types of note-taking systems I've studied, including the infamous Cornell note-taking system. And so overall, the blueprint is divided into 4 sections: content, cue, code, compression. So now let's take a look at the first section of the note system, and that stands for content. This is the main body and the area of where you're going to take the majority of your notes. You'll use free association, write down anything in your own words, or any part of the main content from a book you're reading, a lecture you're listening to, or any type of information you want to gather data on. So that wraps up the first section. Now you have all the content and the data you need to go to the next step, which will be the review, where you start establishing your cues. Okay, now for step number 2. This is going to be the cue column. This is where you're going to establish triggers so that you can use spaced repetition, answer questions, and set up phrases to help you relearn what you had in the content area. As you read through the content area, you'll develop these cues so that every time you come back to recall it, it almost acts like a flashcard for you to use spaced repetition to remember everything that you learned. So let's move to step number 3, and this is where we go to the codes section. This is going to be on the far right column of your paper. So essentially what's going to happen is every time you go through the content and the cue section where you create triggers and answer your notes, you're going to start developing what's known as neuroplasticity. This is where your mind is going to start making more connections with the material, and this is what allows you to code the material into encoding systems. A lot of these systems are known as mnemonics, acronyms, acrostics, the method of loci, and elaborative interrogation. Okay, so now up to this point we have our main notes in our content section. We've created cues for the testing effect. We've encoded them into short-term and long-term memory. Now let's move to the fourth and final step, and that's compress. Step number 4, compression. This is where we move to the bottom of the page, and we're going to write a summary, hopefully in one sentence, that categorizes everything we've just learned. This would be similar to what Elon Musk would call the first principles. This will help you condense the information into one fundamental area to help you really know that you understand it. Now we have all the fundamentals in place for our blueprint note-taking system. So let's apply it to a case study to really lock in how we can use this incredible system. Let's take an example of the notes that I made when I read Ron Friedman's Decoding Greatness. For the content area of my notes, I would take flow-based notes summarizing the key points in my own words. For example, I recorded a lot of the material that he wrote on how to decode greatness, where he talked about processes such as reverse engineering, compare and contrast, and how to even give the most famous TED Talk or create a website similar to Apple's. Now for step number 2, I go back through my main area in the content section and see if I can identify cues, triggers that I can use to recall the information that I just recorded. By doing this, this will help ingrain the patterns into my mind so that I can then move to the third step, which would be to code the information into memorable ways. The benefit of doing this helped me to identify that the author even puts together a 4-part system on how he decodes greatness. So in the cue section, I would simply ask, what are the 4 steps of reverse engineering greatness, and explain each briefly. Doing this, now I want to encode this section into my own words so that I can remember it at a moment's notice and even use it for my own projects. So now this is the fun section. In the coding area, I created a mnemonic called GAME, G-A-M-E, and this stands for gather, analyze, measure, and encode. So whenever you want to decode greatness, you want to gather tons of examples to give you ideas of what's possible. You then want to analyze those examples, and he gives 3 main areas of how to do this: by reverse engineering, comparing and contrasting, copying and creating. Once you've gone through this analytical process, you now select the main ideas through what are called measurements. This would be the 80-20 principle, where you're going to have key measurables so that you can identify success. So once you've gathered the information, analyzed it, and selected your key measurables, you're able to encode your own blueprint or template and apply it to any project you want to master, which will allow you, as the author says, decode greatness. And now finally, the compression part of our case study. All I have to do is write down one phrase, and that is my encoded message called GAME, G-A-M-E. So now I can summarize the entire book into 4 letters, an encoded system that I've developed that I can remember at any time. Alright guys, so there you have it, a powerful 4-step system on how to take the best notes ever. In fact, you now have 2 systems. You have the 4 C's of note taking, and you also have the GAME, the GAME process of how you can decode greatness in any area of your life. And now I'll leave it with you. What is an area in your life where you can use the 4C note-taking system to remember anything you want to learn? Leave a comment below and let me know what you'll be working on. This will help crystallize your thinking. It will also help everyone watching to gather additional insights. And if you got value from this video, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.